Welcome back. Today we're going to be going over section 1.3.9, the great empires of the ancient world, Assyria, Babylon, Persia, and Greece. The rise of the major world empires. As early monarchies expanded, the ancient world eventually consolidated into four dominant powers, empires so vast and influential that they shaped the entire landscape of Dabar and set the stage for the world Rome later inherited. These empires were not isolated phenomena. They were the direct continuation of Babel's system, each one refining, expanding, and weaponizing the structure inherited from the earliest kings. Each empire built on the blueprint of the one before it. This section explores the four empires that defined the ancient Near East: Assyria, Babylon, Persia, Greece. These powers dominate the backdrop of Dabar and ancient history. Assyria, the first terror empire, a new kind of kingdom. Assyria was the first empire to practice deliberate psychological warfare on a massive scale. Its military innovations transformed the ancient world. Key features: iron weaponry, cavalry units, siege towers, battering rams, specialized engineering corps. Assyria perfected the idea that fear itself is a weapon. State policy of intimidation. Assyrian kings used terror to control conquered peoples, mass deportations, public executions, displays of captured rulers, destruction of cities as warnings. Assyria ruled not by loyalty but by fear. Political structure. Assyria created one of the earliest multi-province systems, centralized bureaucracies, record-keeping archives, royal correspondence networks. The empire was highly organized and ruthlessly efficient. Religious ideology. Assyrian kings claimed they were chosen by their chief deity, Ashur, to expand the empire. Conquest was framed as divine mission, a tactic later used by Constantine in Rome. This theology made resistance not merely political, but religious defiance. Babylon, the revival of an ancient identity. When Babylon rose again under Nebuchadnezzar, it deliberately revived the imagery, symbolism, and structures of the original Babel under Nimrod. The city became a center of astronomy, mathematics, temple ritual, political influence. Babylon considered itself the reborn heart of the ancient world system. Babylon revived the spirit of the first Babel more fully than any empire before it. The City of Wonders. Babylon was famed for its massive walls, grand temples, ziggurat complexes, the Ishtar Gate, the processional way. The empire used architecture to project divine and political authority. Religious system. The priesthood played a central role in governing: astronomical priest scholars, ritual specialists, temple economists, legal interpreters. They controlled calendar systems, agricultural cycles, and ceremonial law. Significance in Dabar. Babylon's influence on covenant Yasharal was profound. The exile, Nabai literature, apocalyptic symbolism, theological opposition. For Dabar, Babylon becomes the archetype of human rebellion. Persia, the empire of order and law, a new model of governance. The Persian Empire, under Cyrus the Great and his successors, introduced an unprecedented degree of administrative order. Persia organized its territories into satrapies or provinces, royal roads, courier systems, standardized law. Persia was vast but remarkably stable. Persia perfected the structure of empire through administration rather than terror. Religious framework. The Persian worldview, shaped by early Zoroastrianism, emphasized cosmic dualism, moral responsibility, kingship under divine oversight. Unlike Assyria and Babylon, Persia allowed conquered peoples to maintain their customs and religions. This policy is why Persia permitted the return to Yerushalayim, the rebuilding of the temple, restoration of local governance. Military strength. Persia fielded enormous, organized armies supported by taxation, resource management, logistics networks. Their empire was held together by administrative sophistication, not brutality. Greece, the empire of culture, philosophy, and synthesis. Hellenization, Greece's true power. While Alexander the Great conquered militarily, the lasting impact of Greece was cultural assimilation, not forced oppression. Hellenization spread through language, which was Koine Greek, also known as Hellenistic Greek. education, philosophy, arts and architecture, city planning, political theory. Greek influence knitted together regions that had little historical unity before. Greece conquered the mind more effectively than it conquered territory. The philosophical worldview. Greek thinkers shifted focus from divine authority to human reason, logic, metaphysics, ethics, rhetorical theory, political philosophy. This human-centered worldview shaped governance, ethics, education, and religious interpretation. Its influence became deeply embedded in later Western civilization. Alexander's legacy. Alexander forged the largest empire of the ancient world in mere years, but his death splintered the territory into rival kingdoms. Yet the cultural system he established endured far longer than his political reign. Patterns across the four empires. Despite their differences, these empires shared centralized power, kings who claimed divine or semi-divine authority, state religion, priesthoods used to strengthen political legitimacy, administrative control, systems for taxation, labor, and territory management, cultural assimilation, absorption of conquered peoples into the imperial identity. This topic is a highly important topic for understanding the syncretism in Rome. Monumental architecture. Palaces, temples, and public works used to express dominance. Ideological continuity. Each empire inherited the system created in Babel and refined by those before it. Assyria weaponized fear. Babylon revived the ancient memory. Persia organized order, and Greece conquered culture. Transition to Section 2. These four empires, Assyria, Babel, Persia, and Greece, established the repeating mechanisms of displacement, language control, institutional mediation, and symbolic inversion, which are later consolidated under the massive section on Rome, and ultimately converge in the extensive section on the worldwide beast system. This concludes Section 1.3.9, the Great Empires of the Ancient World, Assyria, Babylon, Persia, and Greece, as well as closes out the entirety of Section 1. Next, we will continue with Section 2, which is 2.0.1, Evidence of Tampering, Dabar, and Historical Manipulation.